What brought me to West Point? Well, when I was younger, my older brother Christian decided to come to West Point. He attended in the mid-70s, and upon his graduation, my entire family came up. And I made the decision at that point that I wanted to be a cadet at West Point. I graduated, I went out to the Army, and I was actually down at the Pentagon doing a briefing, and a senior officer approached me and asked me what I was going to do for my next assignment. And at the time I wasn't really sure, I was just a captain, and he recommended that I apply to come back to West Point to teach. And so I did, and I was very fortunate. Somebody probably put my folder into the wrong pile. I was selected, I came back, and I served in the mid-90s. I went back out to the Army. I was in Korea for a few years, and the Army had offered me an opportunity to get a PhD and then come back to West Point as a senior officer. And I did that, and I came back in 2004, and I've been here ever since. Yeah, I first got involved with Make-A-Wish back in 2004, and it was wonderful, and it's been wonderful ever since. I remember there was some talk at West Point about a small Make-A-Wish group was going to be coming to the academy, and so I reached out to our operations cell, and I just extended the offer that, hey, I hear that Make-A-Wish is coming. I would love to get involved. If there's anything I can do to contribute in any way, large or small, I'm happy to do that. And I was very grateful. Someone reached back out to me and said, hey, we would in fact like you to get involved. And so I was asked to lead a short tour, and I had a young family from Texas, I recall. It was the mom and dad, and it was the young child who was sick, and his siblings. And they came into the Arvin Cadet Physical Development Center, and we started on a tour. And initially, Tyler was enthusiastic, and he was energetic, and he was, bouncing around and really having a good time. And I was loving it, and it was great, and his siblings were having fun, and I could see his mom and dad were enjoying it. And as we made our way through the tour and through the day and seeing different things at West Point, I could see Tyler was getting a little more fatigued. So I threw him up on my shoulders and, did the horsey and made some sounds and things like that. And he was laughing and smiling, and he came back, and we really enjoyed the rest of the tour. And the rest of the story is, as we were getting ready to finish up, I had gotten a small medal to hang around his neck. And so as we were doing that, I held a little, kind of quasi-military ceremony, and we called the room to attention, and I hung the medal around his neck. And as everyone was clapping and celebrating Tyler, I could see his mom was in the back crying. And so, as folks came up to congratulate Tyler, I made my way around, and I said, hey, what's wrong, and what can I do to make it right? And she said, you just don't understand. Everything's perfect. I haven't seen Tyler laugh and smile like that in years. And that was my introduction to Make-A-Wish, and it's one of the great blessings of my life. And that was a wonderful day that I'll never forget. Right, so shortly after the relationship between Make-A-Wish and West Point started, there was an opportunity for one of the young children to serve on the field as an honorary captain at one of the football games. And it went so extraordinarily well that the folks at Make-A-Wish and our friends up in the Directorate of Intercollegiate Athletics established it as somewhat routine. One of those children, if I might, was a young man named Cody. And this is Cody right here. He was a young fella who came to visit West Point in 2011, and he was an honorary captain for the football team. His wish actually was to come to West Point. And so the folks at Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley just did an extraordinary job setting up this wish and planning and coordinating it. And Cody spent the entire weekend here. He led the football team down Black Knight Alley. He served as the honorary captain on the field at halftime, and he had an opportunity to visit a number of other locations where the West Point community and the Make-A-Wish family just came together and provided him and his family a wonderful and memorable weekend. And so that was really the genesis. And now I'm so happy to say that every football game, at the outset of every football game, we put up some kind of Make-A-Wish message, whether it's one of the children, one of the children's family members, a Make-A-Wish representative. And we tell the story, we tell the wonderful story of what Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley does for children and for families in delivering hope and wishes.
So I've been full-time with the athletic department here for just over 3 years. My first 2 years I spent working in the ticket office. So kind of a different experience. I've transitioned into marketing in the past, just finished a 1-year mark here. So obviously I knew what it was like to sell the game, to sell the program, to sell the place. And then when I stepped into the marketing role, one of the first things I was tasked with was making sure we had our wish captains lined up for the year. For our football game days. And so I think that that being one of my first tasks was a great way to open it up and a very fulfilling way to start off my career in marketing. And overall, our general mission is, to prepare our cadet athletes to go on and serve a greater purpose, right? And so I think that our game days, our goal is to really represent that to our fan base. And I think that, having Make-A-Wish as part of our game day is just a perfect representation of that. The other thing I think is, going into this year, we didn't know if we were going to get to play football. A lot of teams still weren't playing football when we were. We had no idea who our opponents would be. Our schedule is completely different than it was originally planned. So I think that is also just, we were going through the unknown just like these families do during their times of treatment and diagnosis and all of that. And so obviously completely different extents and completely different contexts, but it was an unknown period for us, and being able to incorporate Make-A-Wish and, make that part possible, I think there is a little bit that kind of tied in together, and being able to execute that in a time of need was important. So I think one of the biggest things is, as a team, both Make-A-Wish and Army Athletics, our goal when they're here or when you're granting wishes is to bring joy to these families during, harder times. And like you said, sometimes they may feel hopeless or the hope is struggling, but the biggest thing is to bring joy to these people, right? So we've all kind of been struggling during these times. We've all needed, a little bit of light to get us through and things like that. And I think that, continuing to fund, to be able to actually execute these wishes and execute these kind of experiences it's important. It's the only way that things are going to continue on, and the only way that we can continue to bring hope and joy to these people. So I think for sure, if the opportunity is there and it's, it's possible, I wouldn't put it past anyone. I think it would be a great opportunity to continue on, bringing hope to these families.
And the Make-A-Wish team is just, it's unbelievable. I mean, this is one of the great blessings in my life. I mean, the hope and the wishes that Make-A-Wish Hudson Valley deliver, I've seen it up close and personal. And it is extraordinary. It's meaningful. And for me, it's a cause that is right and noble. And I would encourage anybody who is inclined to think about making a donation, because what you do truly provides hope, it provides wishes, and it transforms families. And I'm not sure there's anything greater that we could do, especially for a child who might be sick. To Tom and to Denise, I'm so thankful, because working with Make-A-Wish is incredible. It really is.